Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's video is a little different. I want you to get comfy, maybe grab your favorite drink, and just listen, because what we're talking about today could seriously change how you see your life. So here's a big idea. Almost every problem you face comes down to one thing. You care too much about what other people think. I know that sounds a bit dramatic, right? But stick with me. This idea comes from a book called The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. It's not just another self-help book. It really challenges the way we think about happiness, self-worth, and what it means to be truly free. Let's break it down together. Why we worry so much. Think about the last time you felt anxious or stressed. Maybe you were worried about a job interview, posting something online, or even just what to wear to a party. If you look closely, most of that worry is about how others might see you. Will they like me? Will they judge me? Will I fit in? The authors of this book say that every internal struggle, every fear, every hesitation is actually about our relationships with other people. We think our worries are just in our heads, but really, they're about how we think others see us. There's no such thing as a worry that exists all by itself. If you're worried, it's almost always because you're thinking about someone else's opinion. The courage to be disliked. Here's where things get really interesting. The book says life isn't actually that complicated, we just make it complicated. The secret to happiness, they say, is simple. You need the courage to be disliked. Let that sink in. The courage to be disliked. It means being okay with the fact that not everyone is going to like you. And that's fine. Most of us don't actually lack confidence. We just lack the courage to live without needing everyone's approval. The courage to be happy, even if it means someone else is disappointed. When you find that courage, everything gets lighter. Your stress goes down, your relationships get better, you feel more like yourself. What really drives us? The book takes a lot of inspiration from a psychologist named Alfred Adler. He had a pretty unique view. He said we're not just reacting to life, we're always moving towards some goal, even if we don't realize it. So let's say you avoid social events. Most people might call you shy or antisocial, but Adler and the authors would say you're not born that way. You've chosen that behavior because it helps you reach a goal. Maybe you want to avoid rejection, or maybe it just feels safer. It's not just our actions that work like this. Our emotions do too. We don't just feel something and then act. We decide, often without realizing it, what our goal is, and then our emotions help us get there. Here's an example. Imagine you want to apply for a job, but you get so anxious about the interview that you don't even go. From the outside, it looks like fear ruined your chance. But really, your mind created that anxiety to help you avoid the risk of failing. The fear isn't the problem. It's actually your strategy to stay safe. Your past doesn't define you. Now, let's talk about something a lot of people struggle with. The idea that their past, especially the painful parts, is holding them back. The book flips this idea on its head. It says, it's not what happened to you that matters, it's the meaning you give it. They write, we do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, but instead, we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. That means no matter what's happened in your life, it doesn't get to decide how you live today. You get to choose. Why would anyone choose unhappiness? Here's a question. If happiness is a choice, why do so many people choose to be unhappy? The authors say that sometimes unhappiness is actually a strategy. Maybe it helps you avoid responsibility. Maybe it gives you an excuse not to take risks. Or maybe it's a way to get attention or sympathy from others. A lot of the time, unhappiness comes from wanting approval. We base our self-worth on how others see us. We think we have to be liked by our parents, our boss, our friends, even strangers online, but that's a trap because approval is always conditional. It depends on meeting someone else's expectations, and you can't control that. You could do everything right and still not be liked. Chasing approval is an endless, exhausting game, caring so much about what others think. The book introduces a powerful idea called separating tasks. A lot of our stress comes from trying to control things that aren't really our responsibility, especially other people's thoughts and feelings. Here's what that looks like. If you decide to follow your passion and someone criticizes you, their reaction is their task, not yours. Your job is to live according to your own values. Their job is to deal with their own feelings. When you stop trying to manage other people's reactions, you free up so much energy to focus on what really matters to you. Let's say you want to be an artist, but your family thinks it's a bad idea. Your task is to do your art. Their task is to deal with their own worries. You can respect their feelings, but you don't have to let them control your choices. This idea is so freeing. It teaches us that happiness and freedom come from taking responsibility for our own lives and letting go of what we can't control. The authors say, to be truly free is to be disliked by some people. That might sound scary, but it's actually a sign that you're living authentically, living with integrity. This isn't about being rude or ignoring everyone's opinions. It's about living with integrity, being brave enough to follow your convictions, to love and contribute to others without expecting anything in return, and to accept that you won't please everyone, and that's okay. When you develop this courage, life gets lighter. You stop measuring yourself by someone else's standards. You become free not just to exist, but to actually enjoy your life. So ask yourself, am I living for other people's expectations or for my own principles? Do I have the courage to be disliked if it means being true to myself? Remember, the path to happiness isn't found in applause, it's found in authenticity. 10 lessons to remember. Let's wrap up with 10 simple, powerful lessons from The Courage to be Disliked. Most problems are about relationships. Our worries usually come from caring too much about how others see us. You need the courage to be disliked to be happy? You can't be free if you're always chasing approval. Separate your tasks from others' tasks. Focus on what you can control. Other people's opinions aren't your job. Emotions follow your goals. Sometimes you create emotions like fear to avoid things you don't want to face. Your past doesn't define you. It's not what happened to you, it's the meaning you give it. Chasing recognition leads to frustration. True freedom comes from not needing praise or validation. Life isn't a competition. Someone else's success doesn't take away from yours. Help others because it feels good, not for approval. Contribution is more satisfying than recognition. You're valuable just by being here. You don't have to prove your worth. Live for today, not for future approval. Happiness is found in daily purpose, not in distant goals. Putting it into practice. So how do you actually start living this way? Here are a few tips. Notice when you're chasing approval. Pause and ask yourself, whose task is this? Practice separating your tasks from others. Remind yourself that their reactions are not your responsibility. Redefine success. Focus on your own growth and happiness, not just on impressing others. Allow yourself to be imperfect. Remember, it's okay if not everyone likes you. Build your own sense of worth. Celebrate your wins, big or small. Focus on helping, not competing. Stay present. Enjoy today. And don't get stuck worrying about the future. Imagine how your life would change if you really lived this way. What would you try if you weren't afraid of being disliked? What would you say no to? What would you finally say yes to? Every step you take toward being your true self, every time you choose your own values over someone else's approval, you get closer to real happiness and freedom. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If this video made you think, let me know in the comments. What's one thing you're going to try after hearing these ideas? And if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little courage today. Remember, the courage to be disliked is really the courage to be free. See you next time.